and welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing good, doing okay.
How's the weather
Um,
down there? Weather up here is gray and balmy.
oh yeah, no, it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
flash floods. Um, it's funny. I was actually supposed to
Wow.
take my exam. I was taking my exam today for my architectural registration,
Uh-huh.
and I had one more question to take before I finished it, and the internet crapped out, and I wasn't able to finish my exam.
Oh,
So I have to retake it,
oh no.
probably some other time. But yeah,
Oh
it's
God.
pretty bad.
Maybe
So,
that's what happened to me because I was trying to make a train ticket
mhm.
on the Amtrak website, and when I pressed the button for to submit the information, the screen went fuzzy and froze.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to do with the weather. I don't know that much about it, but I could just assume. Um,
I know they've had some trouble recently with some of the internet workings and people hacking in and holding them for ransom and all sorts of things.
that's a whole different case. That's a whole different situation. Um, but yeah, what I was going to talk about the topic today was, unintended passions, where it's like you kind of stumble on something you're not really, passionate about it. You didn't really care that much for it, but because you did it for so long or so many times, you wind up just having this. You fall in love with it over time, so to speak, and you wind
Yeah,
up going ahead and then having a passion for it. I know I kind of did with architecture. I have a weird relationship with that. I go back and forth. It's just that like there's so much that I have to know. There's so much that I need to learn, and I'm constantly studying for it and trying to figure things out. And like I kind of stumbled upon it anyways because it originally wasn't my idea to become an architect. It was Khani, my sister's,
mhm.
um, and it kind of happened where she suggested it to me, and then I kind of wound up going ahead and I'm not 100% in love with it because it's frustrating because I've been trying to become a licensed architect for a while and it's taking forever. Um, but I'm still working on it. I'm still trying hard. Um,
I think God guides us to, you know, where we're supposed to be in life. And also, God makes sure that we have those skills, even though, we didn't want them. We weren't looking into that particular discipline. God makes sure that we're there and that we get that knowledge. Like one of the things that we were discussing that I never thought I would like, I never thought I would like Spanish. I wanted German originally. And I was very disappointed when Baltimore County only offered either French or Spanish. Um, and I didn't want to take French because my sister had taken French and had a very bad experience with it. So I guess reluctantly, I just went ahead and took Spanish. And the first day I was in class, the minute I heard that language, I couldn't believe it. I fell in love with it. And as you know, I took it all throughout middle school, high school, and I even took it up into my second year of college. And I still keep up with it on Duolingo.
yeah, that's what's so interesting. That's
Yeah.
surprising because it's like you definitely I can definitely see you have a passion for it. You definitely have a love for the language, and I've seen you use it on numerous occasions for so many things. I mean, it's just a practical, very practical language. Um, but I think that's what it is with people, anyways. It's like once you get into something and you just work hard at it, I think
Mhm.
I would say 90% of the time you fall in love with it. There's like a 10% or maybe 15% of you just still not liking it and then just quitting and not never going back to it. Um, but I can't seem to see someone putting so much time and effort into something and not have a passion for it or not have a love for it.
Mhm.
You know,
There was a movie, which not in the realm of what kind of there was a movie that was made in the 1930s. I think it was called The Green Dolphin with Peter Lorre when he was a very young man. Not Peter Lorre, it was Peter Lawford, right? Peter Lawford and Donna Reed, and I think Lana Turner might have been in it. And it was exactly on that topic. It takes place in France. It's about a young French man who becomes friendly with this family that has two daughters. He falls in love with the younger daughter. And because there's a mutiny on the ship, he winds up having to dodge the authorities and run to, I think he ran to either Australia or he went to, I think, New Zealand. And he decides he's going to propose to one of the daughters and has her and sends her a ticket to come to New Zealand. And what happens is he has a friend who's like a middle-aged type guy in his 30s, who's like one of these rough sailor type people. And he's a young guy. He's like 17, 18 years old. And they're in a bar and they're drunk. And that's when he decides, when he's drunk, that he's going to propose to this girl. Well, what happened was a few weeks before that, he had sent her this like nice little silver locket, silver necklace, which of course to the younger daughter. He's in this bar, he gets drunk, and he writes out his marriage proposal in a letter and sends it to who he's sending it to, the younger daughter. And he accidentally addressed it to the older daughter.
Oh, wow.
The older daughter gets the letter, and she decides she's going to go to him with the ticket and everything. So he's at the wharf waiting for her, and she gets off the boat. And as she's walking off the boat, he goes, "Oh no." He says, "What happened?" He says, "This is the older one." And the friend, the 35-year-old friend, like says to him, "You idiot." He goes, when you were drunk," he says, "did you get the sisters mixed up?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "What am I going to do?" So the man says to him, "Look, that girl didn't come all this way from France to New Zealand for you to tell her it was a mistake. You know what? You're going to take her in your arms. You're going to tell her you love her, and you're going to marry her." So he does that. And as the years go on, he realizes that to marry the younger one would have been a disaster. The younger one was not totally incapable of handling anything in life, whereas the older one was a very intelligent, like resilient woman who could handle a lot. And he realizes she is really good for him. Like, she gives him suggestions. They get into the logging business, and she advises him about certain things to do in the logging business, which turn out very well. Later on, they move to Australia, get involved in the sheep herding business, and she's able to, give him suggestions on that. Well, so that's basically the gist of the movie. I'm not going to give away the ending, but
See,
it was,
that's
about the very thing.
that's what I find so interesting, is that how many relationships came to be because one person or the other was too awkward to say no or leave. Like they were just trying to be they were too polite and wound up being in a 7-year-long relationship.
About every relationship.
Oh God.
Well, like I say, marriage is strange. I mean, what it said, it says, look me, Yitzchak says Yitzchak married Rivka, and then says, and then he loved her. And so the idea from the Chumash is that you don't really honestly make a bond with someone and really love them in a deep way, in a deep devoted way, until you've been married and living with them for a few years.
Well, I mean, you don't really find out about a relationship until you're with somebody and living with them. Because when you're in a relationship but you're not living together, all it is that you're spending time with them, but you get to be your best self. You're not really getting involved in the other person's world, where you might be stepping on each other's toes.
Ooh,
It's like you might like the person, and then when you live with them, you find out that they're, they snore in their sleep too loudly, or they, don't clean up after themselves or something. I don't know, like just trying to find little petty things. And that's really gonna ask yourself, is that a make it or break it kind of situation?
Now, how can we apply this to professions or
Well, professions are just like that, where it's like you'll get into something because you're not sure of it. Think about it this way. Kids at 18 years old have to make a decision that will affect the rest of their lives.
So true.
And they have to go ahead and decide on something, and they're not sure about something, and they wind up just going on a journey. And that's kind of what happens with life, where it's like, how is someone working at tech, or how did somebody, get into computers, or how did someone get into architecture? How did someone get into teaching? And it's like, oh, well, my major originally was so-and-so, and I originally was going for this and this, and I kind of wound up being in this place and that place. That's kind of the whole point, where it's like, people have this idea, this understanding as if, you have to be 100% passionate about something for 100% of the time. And that's just
Yes.
not true. That's just not reality. I think what reality is
Mhm.
that it's kind of a crapshoot in life, and you kind of eventually, fall in and out of love of a passion for a career or a job, or sometimes you're just good at it and you know how to grind. You can
Yeah, you
grind
have a
and you're
talent for
good at
something.
something and you just
Mhm.
keep on doing it, and because it pays the bills, and then you retire and die. I mean,
Um, we won't go into that. But another thing that we spoke about as far as passions go, I also playing the violin was something I originally didn't want to do. I wanted to take the flute because the flute was pretty. It
hmm,
was, it's a the beautiful silver. It's a beautiful long silver instrument. It's very pretty, and I originally wanted to play the flute, but I when I thought about it, my parents did not have a lot of money, and there was a violin in the family that had belonged to one of my aunts. And I thought to myself, I didn't want to put my parents out to have to buy another instrument when we have a violin in the family. So same thing, I gave in. I decided to take violin and wound up loving it. As a matter of fact, I took it all through elementary, middle school, high school. I was always in the orchestra. When I got to college, I wanted to continue violin and I tried, but I was already taking voice and piano, voice major, piano minor. Plus, I had gen eds. Plus, I had my teacher certification courses. Plus, I had my regular music courses, music theory, music history, and there was only so many hours in the day, and I didn't have the time to practice. And when I had to go to the violin teacher in college and tell him, listen, I'm so sorry, that I thought I could do this, but I can't. As I was about to leave, I said to him, I feel so badly. I feel like I'm breaking up. I think I'm breaking. How do I say it? I feel like I'm breaking a love affair.
hmm.
And he said to me, "You probably are."
Yeah.
That's how I felt about violin. That I really did miss it. And then of course, later on though, I was able to take it up again when I played in the women's orchestra in Baltimore. Many,
Oh
many,
yeah.
many, many years later.
Whatever happened to your first violin?
I was thinking about that just the other day. I don't know. It's like, wait a minute. I said, I had all these, I had this violin, I had that violin. What happened to all those violins I bought?
You kind of just disappeared. It got broken.
Oh, I have no idea. They're somewhere, I guess. I don't
What did you like about violin?
know. Good question. It's interesting. Like, what did I like about it? I can't really, when you like something like that, you can't pinpoint exactly what it is that you do like about it. You just do. You just like it. It's hard to pinpoint to think of a reason. It's like saying, why do you like ice cream? Why do you like vanilla? Oh, it tastes good. Yeah.
I mean, well, for me, it's more like I play guitar, and my story with guitar is that I originally was into drums, and then I was into piano, but then I banged up my fingers really bad, and I couldn't hit the gym, so I wound up when I was in yeshiva picking up guitar. But I like guitar the most out of those three instruments because it was more portable, and it was like it was more portable than a piano, and it was song focused, where the song where if you were playing on a guitar, you could figure out what song is being played. That if you played on the drums, you wouldn't know what kind of song was being played. That's kind of why
I remember, what was it we had when I was there's a joke in music where somebody talks to the I think the tuba player, and they ask him, "Oh, you play in an orchestra. Tell me, how does Beethoven's Fifth Symphony go?" And the tuba player says, "Oh, I know Beethoven's Fifth Symphony goes bum 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 bum. How does Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture go? Oh, I know that one too. It goes bum 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 bum."
yeah, that's kind of why I like guitar, is because you can play it, and as you play it, you're able to play the whole song. People can understand it, they can sing along to it. That's why I enjoyed a guitar. That's what I meant by asking you, like, what did you enjoy about the violin?
Um, like you said, I guess it's, a small instrument that's easy to carry. You can play it anywhere. I just enjoyed the whole thing. Like it's also a challenge to get a nice tone out of a violin is a challenge because there's so many things that go into producing the note. With your fingers have to touch that string at just the right angle with just a certain amount of strength. We don't have frets, obviously, on a violin. You have to kind of know where to put your fingers and listen for the note, and very often adjust your fingers to get into the correct pitch. And you have to pull the bow at just the right angle with just so much strength to get that nice sound.
Yeah, that's why I
And
couldn't do violin. It sounded too much of a headache. I needed something more like, it sounds weird to say, but I needed something more simple to do. Like
mhm,
with piano, I was able to read the notes and understand how it plays along. But I think guitar, just out of all the musical instruments for me, was just the easiest to play. It was the easiest thing to
mhm.
pick up, easiest thing to play, and you could figure out a song literally in 5 minutes, like a really good song that everyone likes singing to, and you could just practice it for maybe 5-10 minutes. You could already, and like it just fits very well.
Well, I had a friend, I know, like this one friend of mine, the way she played guitar was basically she just learned the chords C major, F major, G, G seventh, and C. And then she would use a capo. She would play the same chords over and over again. And if she had to adjust the key for the song, she would just move the capo up and down to wherever she needed it and play the same chords over and over again.
That sounds kind of, I can't do that. That sounds too repetitive. I can't do the same thing over and over again. I really can't.
There's something else I wanted to remember. We were discussing before about passions and unexpected passions. And I said, I remember my Goisha friends in college, my Catholic friends in college, used to joke around with their girlfriends and boyfriends and tell them they were giving them up for Lent.
That's
Yeah.
cute.
But when you mentioned, though, about the same thing repetitive over and over again, there was this one guy in college who played in a band. And he said he had a Polish gig to play over that weekend. So I called him up to ask him, how did it go? He says, please remind me never, ever, ever to play another Polish gig again. 1 1 4 4 5 7 5 7 1 1 4 4 5 7 5 7 5 7 7 8 1 1 4
I guess
4.
it's a tempo.
He says, no, the chords, same chords. Yeah, same chords. Yeah, same tempo. One polka after the other for 5 hours.
I think there's like an AC/DC, this band called AC/DC. They the drumming in almost all their songs is the same. It's all the same, and it's just like I don't know. I can't deal with that. It just drives me nuts.
So what other unfound passions have you had in life?
What other unfound passions?
Unfound passions.
Well, unfound,
Sometimes
unintended passions.
unintended. Sometimes pets. So how many times have people wound up with some stray or unwanted animal, and they didn't want that kind of animal? They wanted a cat instead, or they wanted a dog instead, yada yada, and they wind up really loving that animal.
Yeah, that's what's so fun. I've seen that and I've known that where someone didn't want to get a dog. Like, I don't want to get a dog. I don't like dogs. Blah blah blah. Blah. And they get a dog and like they are in love with the dog.
Well, I remember your father when we first got the cat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't want the cat. He didn't want the cat. Then one day I was in another room. I was coming into the room. I found him secretly petting the cat.
That's adorable. That's
And
absolutely
then,
adorable.
and then I was in New York at the time, helping one of your sisters who had just given birth. And when the cat died, you wouldn't believe who cried like a baby.
Tati?
Yep. Tati called me up crying and crying that the
Wow.
cat is dying. It's so sad. You can't steal a poor animal, and just crying and crying.
I never heard that story. That's awesome.
Mr. Tough Guy.
Tough guy.
Mr. Tough Guy
things.
was crying about the cat dying.
Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, because I know that was the cat that used to sleep by Menachem's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, then we got the second one who was like a Satan spawn.
Oh gosh, that second cat was a god.
It's crazy. It's scratched Rosie, stuff like that. Like it's really good
Yeah,
at
it scratched that cat. Oh my god, your brother-in-law used to call it the devil cat.
Yeah.
So mean. One time I was putting a bowl of meatballs into the refrigerator, and he comes up to me very sweetly, meow, meow, and rubbing himself against my leg. And I said to him, "No, you're not getting any." And he went, "Wow," and scratched me.
God, that's funny. Okay. All right. So we're finishing with our time. Thank you so much, listeners. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. I love you, Ima. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Love you. Have a great Shabbos, guy.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please like and share and find us on Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast. We are looking forward to hearing from you.